Hello, YouTube, and welcome to another exciting episode of Armchair Anecdotes with Ronnie Lightning. Today's story I will call The Great Royal Rumble Caper. It all began the day of the Royal Rumble. Anyways, so the group of us, Johnny Thunder, Ronnie Lightning, Antonio, Mike, and Gus. The five of us, we meet at about 9 in the morning. At which point, you get in the car and say, we're on our way to the Rumble. Unfortunately, we didn't think until about 3 hours down the road, wait a minute, do we have the tickets? Luckily we did, so that's not a part of the story that we have to deal with. However, once we stopped at a McDonald's halfway to St. Louis from Chicago, we started talking about music, about how to entertain ourselves on the road to the Royal Rumble. And Antonio had on his iPod a collection of 160 different wrestlers' entrance themes. So we decided that we were going to have a 160-man Royal Rumble. And it started out as common as any Royal Rumble. It opened with Booker T versus Mike Awesome, which made perfect sense. But as it went on, we had people like Raven come in. The Rock comes in, probably number 26, clears the ring. Immediately followed by Ric Flair, who immediately knocks out The Rock and starts using him as a table to snort coke. So for each song that played, we would say that was the wrestler that was coming into the Rumble. And at one point we had Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and several others, Jeff Hardy, and a couple other drug addict wrestlers, all snorting coke off of the table, The Rock. However, as time progressed, it became a feud. TNA versus WWE, which in all truth, WWE would win. But it came down to the final four, being Heidenreich, I believe? Sting. And then a couple other people. I don't even remember. I believe Heidenreich won, though. I don't know what... Is the camera nodding? Anyways, so the Rumble actually ends as we pull into the hotel. Oh, the hotel. So we get into the hotel, and immediately, Gus, myself, and Johnny Thunder decide we're going to get one of the 2-bed rooms, and Mike and Antonio will get the other. So, John claims one bed and says, sorry, you and Gus have to share a bed. To which I immediately jumped onto his bed and started poking his pillow. Johnny Thunder freaks out, tells me, don't touch my bed. That's the last straw. I'm calling room service to fix my bed. I'm not quite sure what he meant by that, but at that point it was so entertaining that at every opportunity I had, I would mess with his bed. Whether it was humping his bed, farting on his bed. And then it led to a particular moment. Johnny Thunder walks into the bathroom. I immediately sit on my bed and very loudly say, wow, John, this bed is so comfortable. At which point John runs out of the bathroom in his pants around his ankles, in his underwear. And he goes, damn it, you made me pee on my hand. Turns out his hand wasn't the only thing he peed on, because we walk into the bathroom and there's a puddle on the floor. That's right, YouTube, Johnny Thunder peed on the floor in St. Louis. We hung out for a bit. We had a basketball game on. I don't even care who was playing or remember who was playing. But, you know, we continued annoying John by touching his bed. And finally, at about 5:30, we hit the road. We headed to the arena. We arrived there, and the line is probably about 8 blocks long. Just through the parking garage, up, down, up the ramp, around, up the ramp. Luckily, we got in fairly early, but by the time we left, it was all the way up to the roof of the parking structure. So, of course, the entire time, I was chanting for wrestlers that I knew would not be in the Rumble. Let's go, Evan Bourne. We want Earthquake. Mike Awesome is my hero. But we finally get in. We sit down. The show happens. You know how the Royal Rumble was. I don't need to review it. We had fun. We get out of there, and we find that we're parked between 2 giant vans. There was next to no room to get into the car. So, Johnny Thunder had to shrink down to about the size of Kelly Kelly. And we'll talk about Kelly Kelly later. Anyways, so we get into the car. And after about 45 minutes, we're finally able to get out of the parking space. And we're all hungry. We don't have much money. We say, hey, let's go to Denny's. If you've ever been to a Denny's in St. Louis, you know how this is. If you've never been to a Denny's in St. Louis, don't. Seriously. If you value your life, stay away from the Denny's in St. Louis. Moving on. We arrive at the Denny's. Everyone orders their food. Mike orders a milkshake. Our waiter comes along, and he is very strung out on some sort of drug. We don't realize this at first. We're like, alright, he's just a very friendly guy. After a while, he runs up to us and goes, good God, I seriously want to stab the people at that other table repeatedly in the eyes with a fork. What? My meal, another thing about this, was the all-you-can-eat pancakes. I got my second plate. As I'm eating, I decide maybe I should get some more. And the waiter walks up and he's like, so you want more pancakes? After some time, I decided, you know what, I'm fine. I don't need more pancakes. I don't need to eat this late at night. I was like, you know what, no, I'm fine. His response, you want more pancakes. You really want the pancakes, brah. Yes, the man said brah. And I told him, no thanks. You want to get the pancakes. At which point I realized he had already threatened the people at the other table. I feared for my life, so I said, okay, fine, get me the pancakes. By the way, by the time I had gotten my second plate of pancakes, Mike still hadn't gotten his milkshake. So, we continue eating. I finish my third plate of pancakes. Waiter comes back and goes, can I get dessert for anyone? Gus ordered a slice of cheesecake. The reasoning behind the cheesecake, I'll get to in a moment. A few minutes later, the cheesecake comes. But guess what doesn't come? Mike's milkshake. After a few minutes more, the waiter runs up to us. We've now been there for about 2 hours. Says, dude, I just searched the entire kitchen. We're out of chocolate. Mike was very angry at this point, because he just waited 2 hours for a milkshake. However, our waiter, being a good guy, this is one of the things that was nicer. He made a milkshake, vanilla, for Mike to go, and gave it to him free. So, free milkshake. Okay. As we walk out, nobody else saw this person but me, but the Reverend Al Sharpton was sitting at one of the other tables. I pointed out to them, they're like, no. We were already out at this point. As we walk out, there's a woman sitting at the table. Johnny Thunder, Mike, and Antonio all go to use the bathroom, because like all girls, they have to pee together. And this woman drops her menu on the ground and goes, oh boys, I dropped my menu, can you pick it up for me? So, of course, I don't think they actually picked it up. Was it picked up? No. And they go in, they do their business in the bathroom. The bathroom apparently smelled like a crack pipe. there was somebody smoking stuff in the bathroom. It wasn't just cigarettes, it was drugs. But as they walk out, she turns to them and goes, "Hey boys, you guys going back to a hotel?" And gives them this sultry smile. At which point they immediately ran out of the restaurant. So, we finally get back to the hotel. And most people are exhausted, because at this point, the pay-per-view ended at 10. We got to Denny's at 11. It was now 3. Because of the milkshake. Because apparently, the boys don't bring the milkshake to the yard. Or at least to the table. Because they're all out of chocolate. So, everyone's trying to sleep. I get turned to as I'm getting ready for bed, and as I said, Johnny Thunder was making Gus and I share a bed. Gus turns to me and says, "You know what? Because I'm recently engaged, I'm afraid I will spoon you in my sleep. I'm going to sleep on the floor." That was the right choice. Because this is just something I've been informed of, but apparently I was snoring like a bear, and, you know, from both ends. I was snoring and ripping butt all night. But the thing was, Gus tells us the next morning, both Johnny Thunder and myself, that it was like an ass-rip concerto that night. Now, apparently when I was outside, because I stepped outside to make a couple phone calls, because I knew that my other 2 roommates were trying to sleep. I come back in, I go to sleep, and they both start giggling. I didn't find out why until the next morning. Apparently, Johnny Thunder had taken off his pants, and because of all the times I molested his bed, he molested my pillow with his junk. I still feel sick to this day. So, moving on. Afterwards, we go get food, nothing eventful. We start driving home, and in almost every car, we see the prostitute from the Denny's. We then go to a gas station, and working at the gas station, this isn't us being crazy, but was the prostitute from the Denny's. I tell you now, we don't like the prostitute at the Denny's. So, as we drive home, we start asking John questions, because he's been ranting about how much he wants to sleep with Kelly the entire trip. And we start asking him, so if you had a choice, you could sleep with Kelly, but you'd have to sleep with your mother first. Would you do it? He was all for it. You would have to eat your own poop. Would you do it? He was all for it. The only thing he wouldn't do was burn down an orphanage. I'm not sure why fucking his mother was okay, but burning down an orphanage was an issue. But, anyways, we continue on, and John shows how little he knows about sex, and talks about how gross he thinks vaginas are. He claims he's not gay, but vaginas scare him, just like ketchup scares him, and just like he can't tie his shoes. That's why he wears Velcro shoes. But that was the trip to the Royal Rumble, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Armchair Anecdotes, because you have to realize it's always hottest when lightning flashes. Thank you.